So from President Obama on Google+, Michelle Obama on Jay Leno just last night, to, well, the Prime Minister's office on Twitter. What do Indian politicians need to learn from US politicians, or actually make sure they stay away from? That's, of course, forgetting something live on camera. Joining me tonight for that special debate, I'm joined by the Minister of State in HRD, Ms. D. Purandeshwari. She's also one of the 11 young ministers who've been appointed to speak to the press, yet we find most often it's almost impossible to get hold of them. I'm also joined by Dr. Sanjay Baru, a senior fellow at the Center for Policy Research, former media advisor to Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. I'm also joined by Jay Panda, MP, a telegenic MP of the Biju Janata Dal, and Harish Salve, senior advocate of the Supreme Court. Thank you all very much for joining me tonight. Ms. Purandeshwari, if I may begin with you, are Indian politicians scared of public debate? While there is a younger generation of politicians who are willing to appear on television, who are willing to appear on prime time, our senior-most politicians, from the Prime Minister, the Congress President, people like the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister, will never appear in a debate. In fact, Mayawati never answers questions at press conference, and the Prime Minister very rarely has press conferences at all.
Sonia, I wouldn't say that our politicians are scared of debating on television, because you have many of us actually come to your shows and talk to you. But you must understand that parties do have their own spokespersons to come in front of the television cameras and to air the views of the party and also the government. So I think this would actually not create a lot of confusion, not have too many people pulling in too many ways, so that the line that the party is towing or the government is towing is actually made very clear to the people. You must be aware of regional television channels where most of the public representatives do appear on the regional channels, and there are talk shows, there are debates. So I don't think it would be correct to say that politicians actually shy away from debates.
Why is it, let me rephrase it, why is it that India's top politicians, whether it's chief ministers, whether it's the Prime Minister, never appear? Why is it that they don't seem to be accessible, for instance, to give their views on key issues, to debate it actually? Why would we not have L.K. Advani opposite the Prime Minister, or the Leader of Opposition in the Lok Sabha versus the Prime Minister, or the Leader of Opposition in the Rajya Sabha versus the Prime Minister?
No, I think, as I had mentioned earlier, there are spokespersons who are actually nominated to air the view of the government as well. And similarly, suppose you take the opposition party, they would have spokespersons to air the views of the party. So here we have people who are actually who would be the face of the party, or who would be the face of the government, to actually come forward and to speak. So I mean, it would be incorrect to say that either the opposition leader or the Prime Minister of India would not have complete control over what is happening either in the country or within the party.
Dr. Baru, well, of course, we'll have to take the minister's word for it, because you were media advisor to the Prime Minister, and I'm sure at that time you were chased by many journalists asking why the Prime Minister didn't speak more. In fact, L.K. Advani had made that remark, or that open challenge to a TV debate, which sank without a trace in that last election campaign. Do you think it's wise for top Indian politicians to speak so little?
First of all, I don't agree with you. I agree with Ms. Purandeshwari. I think, first of all, Indian politicians communicate quite a lot across a wide range of channels in different Indian languages. There have been chief ministers who do weekly programs on television shows in their particular states. As far as Dr. Manmohan Singh is concerned, the fact is that he not only addressed press conferences in Delhi, every time he went to a state capital in his entire first term, he would address a press conference in every state capital. You know, Delhi does not think about the rest of India. All of you are only worried about what's happening in Delhi. But I can tell you, in every state capital, the Prime Minister would address a press conference and interact with the media. But on more a substantial point, yes, I think, you know, we take too much, try to imitate the Western media. Parliament is the platform for debate in a parliamentary democracy. America is not a parliamentary democracy. Here you have parliament, like in the UK, and parliament is telecast live. There have been many debates in parliament where the Prime Minister and the Leader of Opposition have engaged each other. Unfortunately, in the recent past, parliament has not been allowed to function. But when parliament has been allowed to function, Dr. Manmohan Singh has intervened very effectively in many debates, and those are telecast live. Maybe not on your channel, but there is a Lok Sabha TV, there's a Rajya Sabha TV.
Just 2 or 3 points. You said there's address press conferences. My point was more a debate when you can actually
judge
what I'm saying.
The Parliament is a platform for debate.
Taking on each other on issues in an election campaign. That Parliament will not be on before an election campaign.
No, forget election campaign. Election campaign, Prime Ministers are not directly elected. In the US, you have presidential debates because President is directly elected. And that is why you have a presidential debate. In a parliamentary system, Prime Minister is not directly elected.
So why couldn't we see, say, the star campaigners in Uttar Pradesh? Why can't we see a Mayawati versus Rahul Gandhi versus Akhilesh Yadav? Even when we saw the Badals and Amrinder Singh debate, they said we will all come one-on-one. We will not speak to each other. Why is there a certain contempt for taking on your main opponent? Shouldn't people be able to judge themselves?
They engage each other on the field. They are addressing similar audiences. All the time they go for public rallies. I mean, if you ask the question, why are they not coming to your studios? That I don't know.
No, I'm not asking that question at all. I'm asking about public debate. It can be on any platform.
Yeah, public debate is on, in India, actually people like to go to rallies, not in big cities. But you go in the election time, travel around the country, rallies are vastly, my friend Jai Panda will vouch for that. People like to go and listen to politicians in election rallies.
In fact,
NDTV's cricket app, Android and iPhone, fastest scorecard, special analysis, and much more. Download free. NDTV.com/apps.